Hey everybody, I'm Larry Little.
And I'm Melissa Jackson.
Welcome to Crossing the Line, our podcast where we talk about those moments in our lives when we cross that line from leading and loving with our head and leading and loving with our heart, and how we cross that line back and forth. And this is I think it's a special edition, Melissa, of Crossing the Line.
Yes, I do too, because our business has kind of grown up. We have reached a place, an anniversary that I think is pretty significant.
I think it's pretty cool as well. 25 years we're celebrating, and this thing this journey together began in 1999, and here we are 25 years later. Can you believe it?
You know, it's kind of like with your family, with your children. You blink and all of a sudden they're grown up, and that's kind of the way I feel about where we are today.
Me too. I mean, I remember, Melissa, when we first started this thing, you were such an instrumental part of all of this. I mean, you were such a great mentor to me, and I was only a child. And you would babysit me.
Headed.
You would take
me.
For
a moment, we might have a moment.
You would care for me as an adult and me as just a young child. And I was so glad that you would caregive for me in such a way, because I was so young 25 years ago.
So young, and the journey continues.
Oh, we gotta have a little fun.
Always.
It has been a ride. It's been good though. It's been amazing. You know, things have changed. We were just talking about that earlier. Things have changed so much in 25 years.
Yes, you know, and just to think about how we started, and, you know, we were one small little room, and, you know, how things have grown over the years, the experiences we have had, the fun, the laughter, the difficulties, all
the risk that we've taken, and won some and lost some.
That's right. The team members that have been a part, and just the fun, sharing life together, doing life with them and their family. It's been unique.
It's been amazing. And as you think about that, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
And think about it. And if you could go back 25 years and knowing what you know now, what's one thing that you would say, I think I would do that differently, or I wish I had known that 25 years ago?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I think back to 25 years ago and how hard things were. I mean, it was a good hard. You start off in your early years and you're trying to make something. Right. And you're spending a lot of energy. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure others out. You're trying to make something work. You're trying to make something perk. And, so I think finding value in those times, it was really purposeful. And, it took a lot to move from that, because it was so purposeful, getting something started and feeling like you had a baby of a business. Yeah. And you wanted to make it successful, and you were going to make it successful. It was going to take off. You were determined. Getting out of that mode and moving into different seasons of a business, and allowing yourself to grow into those different seasons, and to move from one that's more comfortable to the other. I think that was something that was challenging, and something I'd go back and realize, you could do it a little differently.
Yeah, maybe so. I remember back in those days, you were finishing up some grad work, driving 2 hours one way, to work and to help lead and help stand up this startup organization. I was working can to cane, trying to build the organizational infrastructure, all that we had to do, and I really remember an old gentleman. He was actually a pastor, and he was observing all this. He had long since retired, and he's no longer with us, but a beautiful man, wonderful man. And he watched this birth of this thing, right? And he lived close to where our offices were, that kind of thing. And I never will forget, he said, the first person in every morning is Larry, and the last person to leave in the parking lot is Larry, because we were with another organization, and other leaders were coming and going. And he said, I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but I'll tell you this, he's working hard. He's working himself to it. And I go back and think about that, and as you mentioned, the seasons, and we were in this muscle and feel We knew we had to put it on our shoulders and go. But it's a great question. You know, could we have done that differently? Did we really realize how fast time would fly? And here we are with a 25-year-old. I mean, wow. Yeah, it's just amazing to me.
And Larry, what about you? What do you wish you knew 25 years ago?
Well, you know, I think as I think back, we were in that muscling field at the first, and we were both working so hard. We were both just can to cane. But I wish I had known the importance of processes and systems back then. And by that I mean we just carried so much. We just made so much happen, and we really didn't take the time. I didn't take the time to slow down and build that system like I really should have probably on the front end, which caused me an awful lot of work and an awful lot of mistakes that I think I could have avoided if I had seen the infrastructure. Now, you know, mind you, thinking back 25 years, there was a lot of failure. I mean, we failed, and it was okay. We learned how to fail. We learned how to get up and go. That was part of our secret sauce, is that learning how to fail, you know, is really important. But I'm talking about longer-term decision-making. I'm talking about how to execute the vision of the company. I'm talking about how to put resources, time, energy, and effort in building and you to your credit, you know that, you do that. That's really a strength of yours. And looking back for that structure, probably should have capitalized on that a little more. I think I've learned a strong lesson. Muscle Field is great to get something off the ground, really good. But I mean, sooner than you think you should, start building your system, start building your processes, start building infrastructure that can support then the team coming in. So sitting where I am now, looking back, if I had something that I would do a little differently, I would start putting in importance, resources, time, energy on those infrastructure, processes, and systems.
Well, I tell you, when that started happening, then we started building a team at a different level.
We did.
And then that team really grew. And I tell you, those were fun days too, to really start seeing people take ownership and have accountability and feel purpose-driven and working in that manner. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, Melissa. I wish I'd have gotten there sooner, but I came around. You got me there, and we took off, and that was.
It's been a fun ride.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Yeah.
And you said something. I think it's really important. You said that's when we started building a team, and that's when things got fun. That's when our culture really came into its own. I think we started building that culture, and over 25 years, we both, I think, have learned the importance of culture.
You know, and I think that's something that was started from the beginning, and that took us a long way. You know, without systems and process, it took us a long way, and that is the heartbeat of who we are at Eagle Consulting. You know, the piece of knowing your people and learning from your people and creating that environment. You know, it gave us the ability to grow.
Yeah.
We leaned into excellence and wisdom and those core values of who we are. So, you know, we can always go back and learn and do things differently. But, you know, it's been a good journey to learn through this process.
Yeah, you're so right. And when I go back and think about culture, we spend a lot of time and energy on culture. We work on it because we know the importance of it. And so, you know, if you're thinking about your home, culture is important. You know, if you're thinking about your business, culture is important.
Yeah.
No matter what relationship we're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't think you ever arrive at culture because relationships are so active. You know, they change, they adjust. There's different thoughts and emotions and opinions. People are fluid, right? And so you can reach a culture that I think is healthy, but it's never perfect. There's always going to be pieces to, you know, adjust to or learn from that are going on with team members.
Well, and that is so true. And even if you think about your family. So I'm a data guy in terms of I love data. I love to look at data and make decisions on data when I can. But the data is strong, and it's in around personal relationships and culture in homes. And the data tells us that in a home, the families that know how to apologize, the families that know how to have hard conversations, not the families that are perfect, and not the families that get on social media and put all the perfect pictures of, you know, look at our perfect family. No, but the families that know how to fail, that know how to blow it and recover. And that's building a culture, that's building a mindset in your home, teaching your children choosing when you don't like your spouse to love him or to love her with even when you don't want to, and your children watching that. Teaching your children how to say I'm sorry, or teaching your children how to say, hey, I own that. That was on me. All of those, that's culture. That is culture. And the same thing is true in the marketplace, and the data there supports it. 20% more profitability, 20% more profitability, and 20% more productivity when there are companies who have a strong, healthy culture. That's what happens, 20% more. I mean, I think that's amazing. Retention is the big thing. We had the big resignation come. Companies who work on their culture, not who are perfect. There's no, you said it beautifully, there's no company or home that has the perfect culture, right? But if you work on it, the retention rate goes down. In other words, 30% more likely to stay employees, 30% more likely to hang in there with a company when they know they're working on their culture. I think that's huge in today's market, as we've seen the great resignation in recent years, and we've seen the marketplace change so much. You can tie culture to financial performance. You can tie culture to innovation. You can tie culture to recruiting new people. All of that. And the leaders that get that and spend time on it, we've seen it work. The leaders that neglect that and choose not to spend time on it, we've seen the devastation. I'm watching that literally day by day on some of our clients as we walk with them. We see the differentiation between the two. So I guess the question is, what do we do about that? And talk to us a little bit about culture.
And here's the truth. There is a culture in every family. There's a culture in every business. There's a culture in every division and department.
Good.
And are we going to make decisions to invest in a culture that we want it to be, or are we going to allow the culture to become what it is and what it morphs into? And so I think it's really important to be aware of, what do you want? If you're a leader, you have a family, you have ability to influence someone. What are you wanting that relationship, that culture to be?
I think
Let's
that's
start there.
Brilliant. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I know that'll surprise you. I'm gonna say something that is at least what I've learned over the last 25 plus years. If you are a person, and let's say you're single, let's say you're single, or let's say you're starting a company with just you, you still need to have the mindset of creating the culture that you want for yourself. I think we skip this piece. We skip the piece of, no, I have to build a culture in my own head, in my own heart, and I have to say, this is how I'm going to behave individually. This is how I'm going to communicate to others. These are the values that when I'm by myself and nobody's around and I'm still going to have this culture because I'm choosing to, not because I feel like it, not because I just want to. No, I choose to, and I think it starts with an individual culture that you create in your soul.
It's linked to personality too. Your culture, it becomes like a personality that this is how people respond and this is how people behave, and then they begin to mimic that, and it becomes an overall, this is how we act or behave towards each other. And so, we all have such strengths in our personality, but we also have weaknesses, and a culture can play into those weaknesses as well. So, when you think about, again, who and how do you want to respond? Your natural personality is going to come into play as a leader, as having influence over others. But then also, what do I need to be mindful of that, part of who I am as well, and some of my weaknesses will play out in my relationships, in the culture of this environment that I'm in.
It's so true. And what do I do when I don't behave like I want to? In other words, I blow it. This is not who I am. I did it. I own it. But this is not the culture that I want to facilitate. This is not who I want to be. We have to recognize that. And you're so good at helping us to understand how to own things. And it's about owning things. Like I said that, but that's not who I want to be. That's not me. That's not. So I need to learn to back up, own it, and recalibrate. Right. I think that's so important because none of us can have the perfect culture all the time.
That's right. At work and at home, and to create an environment, an experience where you can learn from each other and you can blow it, in your own home, that you can blow it and you can get up and recognize that. You can talk about it in your environment, your work environment, where you can talk about blowing it. It creates this opportunity to really replicate that. And it gives an opportunity for people to do life together, to grow together, because you can make mistakes and you can step in, you can own it, and you can do something about it. And that learning environment builds. When you can have, it's kind of like the Tetris from the day gone, where you can build off of that, and you can build something unique.
Tetris.
Did
you really?
Did you ever play Tetris?
That was way before my. Listen, I was so young I couldn't. Yes, I did. So here's my question. We've been together for 30-something years, working together and doing life. Now, have I ever blown it with you? I don't think. 30-something years and counting. I've never blown it.
There was maybe that one time. I'm having a hard time remembering or recalling it.
Right?
Yeah.
Not in the last 2 minutes, right? But I think it's so true. Learning how to blow it, learning how to continue to move and build that culture, and that's all part of it. So let's give a few tips. What do you mean? What are some practical things that we can do to help facilitate a healthy culture? Right?
Yes. So I think the first thing is you're going to really want to focus on the things that matter. We can call it employee engagement. We can call it, creating a user-friendly environment, whatever we want to call it. But, you've got to think about, how am I going to make sure I'm investing in those relationships? What do those relationships look like? Being mindful to know that, this is who is in my circle here. Here's their personality. This is how they're designed. This is how they're wired. This is how they're, how they are made. They interact and they behave, and start by allowing them to be who they are and their personality. And how does that team member contribute to the overall good? How does that family member contribute to the family and the overall good of how this family is going to function? So, you've got to have that insight and know and be mindful and aware so you can build off of that and you can do something with it.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Know who it is you're in a relationship with.
Who are these players?
Know your players. Yeah. Know who they are. And for me, it goes, personality is first and foremost, and so important to speak their language, to speak their personality, as you were challenging us. Also, for me, the difficult piece is generational differences. Know that what I need to validate or what I need to feel like is not what somebody else in a Generation Z or Generation X, they're validated very differently. They find accomplishment looks very different than what I find accomplishment looks like. So and here's what I've learned about that. I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with it.
That's not what it's about.
Nope. Yeah. I don't have to understand it. I just have to be willing to get to where they are and to lead them where they are, or to serve them, if you'll let me use that word in a servant leadership context, to say, I know. The first step is to know. Right? But then the second step is to choose. And I'm choosing to get to where they are. So know who they are, then choose to speak their language, right? Choose to speak, whether it's a personality or a generational language, which, both could be very different than where I am.
And to remind us that, that takes focus and it takes energy to try to speak that language and to learn that language and to figure out how to practice and try that language and mess up and get up and try again. And so, you're making it active. You're really putting effort into making the opportunity be that I'm going to do what I can to try to hit that spot. And I'm going to watch and see, do I make that happen? Do I speak that language? Am I allow myself to really know this other person in light of the busyness and the task and all the things that are going on in your own world? Yeah,
I think that's exactly right. And so it looks like this. Don't quit. I mean, in other words, the way you sustain what we're talking about is you choose to do it over and over and over again, regardless of the reaction you get. It's not based on the condition. If I just try to reach out to you, if you reach out back to me, that's conditional relationship, and that never works. If I say I'm going to get to know you, I'm going to choose to speak your language from a personality perspective. I'm going to choose to invest and speak your language from a generational perspective. When I know what that is and I choose to do it, it's not enough just to do it one time. Well, that didn't work. Let me try one time and that's it. No. It's about doing it over and over and over and over again. So think, as we wrap it up, those 3 things are vital to having a healthy culture. Just 3 things to think about as you think about your home, think about your business, think about your team at work, whatever environment we're talking about. And know, first of all, invest the time. It takes time, energy, effort to know your players, as you said. Know your players. Know who they are. Personality, generation, what their life is. No. And you do that. There's a way to do that. Listen and learn, all that. Know your players. 2, make a choice. Choose then. Once you know it's not enough, choose to speak their language.
It's the action.
Get out of that comfort zone. Choose to act. Choose to act and get out there. Even if I don't like generation whatever, speak their language. Even if I don't even know what I'm saying and I don't even understand it. And I have no idea why you think that you've been here 2 years and you should be running your organization. But hey, we're going to talk about that and see what you need to equip you. And then don't quit. Just keep going and do it unconditionally. No, choose, don't quit. If we can do those things, I think we'd take a giant leap toward creating a healthy culture.
And when you do that, you're building such an environment. You're pulling people in to be a part of that, and you're really creating such a legacy currently, and then something for the future.
Hey, don't you hope that we are in that legacy building phase of this company?
25 years.
25 years and building a legacy. That's amazing, isn't it? All right, so now it's time for the dad joke, and just to mix it up a little bit for 25 year celebration, Melissa has volunteered to tell the joke of the day, the dad joke of the day.
And see, I need to do this because 25 years is a long time in the big scheme of things for small business. So here is the joke, okay? Very Larry style too. Here he comes. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So I want you to think about 25 years. 25 years,
25
okay?
years, yeah.
And why should you always invite arthritis out to drink?
Why should you always invite arthritis out to drink? I don't know.
You don't?
I don't know.
You couldn't give me anything on this?
Nothing. Have no idea.
It knows how to close down a joint.
And with that, we're going to close this joint down. I hope that you have enjoyed our little banter of 25 years on this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully you took away a few things that would help you in your personal life, in your personal relationship, and in your professional life and your professional relationships. This is a journey. We're on it together. We've been at this 25 years plus. It's been a blast. I'm looking forward to 25 more years, and I'm looking forward to the next time we get to hang out and talk a little bit about relationships.